What's up guys, it's AJ from AU79 Prospecting. Today we're going to be doing a lot of test painting. We're going to be really checking out an area closely that I plan to work later in the week. Hopefully we'll have Steve and maybe Graham with us as well. So we'll have a lot of bodies, we'll be able to move a lot of material. The key is I don't want to waste time on that trip doing a lot of test painting. I want to do the work ahead of time. So we're going to lay the groundwork for hopefully a very successful trip at the end of the week. So let's go ahead out there and I'll show you exactly how I'm going to work on the test painting. We'll do a little metal detecting and hopefully have a lot of fun today. Alright, so right now we are test painting different areas within a small area. And it's always amazing to me how the goal can change literally just a couple of inches either way, up, down, left, or right. So the last time we found our Graham, after I did more calculations, I felt like we should have been getting even more gold than we did. So I came back and studied the area we were digging, and I don't know if you can appreciate it, but you see this color here? It's sort of this reddish clay, and we kind of went really deep down into it. After test painting this area, I didn't actually find as much gold as I expected. So I thought, okay, that's interesting. Let's go ahead and study an area that's not quite as deep. So I just moved over a couple of inches. Now look at this rock here, this dirt here. It's totally different. It has a lighter brown, almost a slightly blackish texture, lots of cobble in it. This area has a lot more gold in it, I think. So instead of guessing, let's go ahead and test pan the material and see what we got. As you guys know, I'm a huge fan of being efficient. And so instead of just doing one test pan of material, I like to do at least a half bucket. And so I'll show you how I'll quickly classify this half bucket out, and then we'll just keep filling the pan underneath it till the pan is full. And then I'll pan out basically almost a half bucket of material. And then we'll see how much gold's in it, and we'll decide if that's a good area that we'll stick at, or do we need to move to a different area. All right, so we got our pan and our half-inch classifier I'm going to put on top. I dunk it under the water here. I dug this area out so it's nice and deep, and then we'll start dumping material in it to classify out. There we go. So you can see here the material's here. So now I'm just going to go ahead and wash the material. There we go. Now instead of stopping and panning this stuff out, I'm just going to do it again. So I'm going to get this pan completely filled with material. See, here we go. Oh, not going to pan that out. There we go. Excellent. Looking good. All of these coarse tailings I'm going to run with a metal detector later. I'm not going to waste time picking through every single rock. Waste of time. Got a metal detector. I'm going to go ahead and use it. Alright, so you see I have a good amount of material, but we can fill that pan up even more. So we'll finish that up. Look at that. That's a... This will be easy to... There we go. So there we go. Now we have a half bucket material classified down to only that much. Now we're going to go ahead and pan this out and see what we can find. I'm gonna have a video coming up here in a couple weeks where I'll show you guys how to pan really efficiently. Bottom line is there's a lot of ways to do it. Once I got it down to this little bit, you could go ahead and roll it back. You could continue panning it out. I like to use a smaller, lighter, blue colored pan. So let me go ahead and transfer this material over, and then we'll see what we got. Alright, so now we got our small little blue pan here, and I'll just carefully keep taking the top off here. You can see here, there's a couple bigger rocks, no gold in them, so I'm just going to go ahead and knock those off. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and roll it on back now and see what we can find. All right, well, we didn't get rich on that pan, but very promising. That's a good speck of gold. That's a nice little speck there. I like to call, if you can see a little shape to it, but you can't quite pick it up, I like to call that a 3D speck. You know, and there's only 2 here, but it's not always the number of specks, it's the size. You know, if this could be the equivalent of 50 tiny little specks. So that's not bad, and that will add up pretty quickly. So that area is pretty promising. Let's go ahead and do it a couple more times and see what else we can find. All right, we're still working hard. We moved over several feet, test panned that area very thoroughly, didn't find anything. Moved over to the other side, didn't really find much of anything, 1-2 specks. Came back to that kind of blackish brown area I showed you earlier. Let me raise this to the sun. But looking good. I mean, there's over 50 pieces, and you can make out the structure of a couple of them. So some might quote 3D specks there. So that looks pretty good. So I'm going to keep test panning that one area and just see if there's any, you know, is it going to get better if I dig deeper? Do I need to stay more superficial? But that's a nice little pan there. Sweet. Alright guys, I think I'm about ready to call it a day. Overall, a great trip. You can see here, we were pretty successful. Lots of my so-called 3D specks in here. You'll see there's lots of tiny little specks of gold. You can see in this area especially, lots of tiny little specks. Those little tiny specks, I'm betting, are the results of the crushing of all the ore from the old-time miners, and that stuff is all over the property here. But that stuff, you need a whole lot of it to add up to anything substantial. These are the things that we want. These 3D specks, these add up a whole lot faster, and we found a bunch of them in this one area. We're going to use everything we learned today to guide us on our potentially last big trip of the year coming up at the end of the week. We will hopefully be joined by Steve and Graham, and we're going to really focus in on this area because I want to beat our total from last week.
the goal overall was just to get over a gram on a trip, but I mean, heck, we beat that goal, so let's set a new one. Let's go for 1.5 grams. I don't know. I just want to do better than we did last time. You got to always kick it up a notch, reset the bar higher. So we're going to go big on our last trip of the year here and hopefully find more gold than we've done all season long. So thank you guys for joining me on this trip. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Definitely don't want to miss our last trip of the year. I'll see you next time, guys. Peace out.